Then I go to my show, and the guy in the front row is holding a sign that says, "Today I celebrate 584 days sober."
No way.
You see me tearing up.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, think about this. These kids in here don't even know it. But maybe I could have been the reason that they end up with 584.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
How
I'm
you
excited.
doing? Nice, thanks for
Tom,
being here.
This is big.
We
dude.
just had a
Thanks
nice
for
chat
having me.
about our when we were growing up.
Yes.
We ate a lot of oven
cheese,
oven
dude.
cheese
Kraft
bread.
Singles cheese. We were having the most homely conversation before they started this show. I'm like, we missed it. I just thought we were starting. I was like, this is a great way to start an interview.
Let me just do a quick recipe for the people listening at home. You take your slice of bread, put some Kraft Single on it, right?
Yes, sir.
Put that in the oven on broil. And I put a little.
You got to watch it.
Yeah.
Just as soon as you see the first part of the top of the cheese get a little black,
Yes.
there'll be a little piece of black on one little piece. Pull it right then. It's perfect time.
But isn't it nice when you get the little bit of butter?
Oh,
Isn't
it's
that
so
really
good.
nice?
It's a little random crisp. It's like a bonus. You know what I'm saying? It's like a bonus halfway through the bite.
We put a little bacon on that when we came in from shoveling.
Oh, goodness. Stop it, dude.
Get out of town. Let's get out of here. Let's
you
go.
know what's cool is how we grew up eating the same things for similar reasons, but doing different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
We were shoveling.
Yeah, y'all were shoveling, and we were just, causing trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And we were in the snow and digging ourselves out.
Yeah, you
know?
were just trying to find the car. And we were just trying to avoid a police officer.
How's Canada? By long road, I don't know the specifics, nor am I really interested in the specifics. But I think for a while there was some question about whether you'd make it to Canada, and whether you'd be able to get across the border and all that. How's Canada? How's it living up to the expectations?
It's been really cool, man. Full disclosure, it wasn't a question. It was a hard no for a long time. Yeah, and I knew that this place was a place that I would feel at home because I could tell by the way I was interacted with on the internet. But to finally get to come has been such a big deal, man. And I think, famously for an artist, this is respectfully one of the harder countries to get into.
Is that so?
So, yeah, all my artist friends have texted me like, no way you actually are going to Canada. I was like, I swear, dude.
Really? It's hard to get into. It's hard to make it into Canada. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a true story. A buddy of mine couldn't get in for a DUI.
Yeah, you know what? I got a buddy of mine in Illinois who couldn't get in because
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I was on the Yellow Wolf tour a few years ago, and every time we would go to Detroit, I'd have to stay in Detroit for 2 nights while they came and played up here, and then every time we were in Seattle, I'd have to stay in Seattle for a few nights while the tour went up. So it's cool, though. It feels really good to be here, man, and the reception is – I've never done an international show, until this week. Yeah. So there was an experience of – we're all experiencing this together. Like nobody in this crowd's ever seen Jelly Roll live. Yeah, I've never been here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's not a luxury I get very often back home. You know what I mean? So it was really cool, man.
It must feel nice to have an audience that in a country that you're not from love you so, because people really love you here, man. They really love you.
I cried both nights on stage.
Yeah?
Literally, just emotional. Just, man, you're in a whole nother country. You know what I mean? I know it's just north of where I live, but this is still a whole nother country, a whole nother culture. This is a place I told I'd never be allowed at, so it's just cool, man.
Was this the dream?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not Canada specifically.
Yeah. No, Canada. Canada was the dream. I was just telling the story on the way here. I'm a huge fight fan. And I remember when GSP sold out the Rogers Center. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And I remember watching, and remember where the UFC was at the time, they were struggling to sell out hockey arenas in America.
Yeah. It was sort of a low-rent WWE sort of equivalent. You know what I mean? It wasn't the massive, big success it is.
It didn't have the stars it does now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then so imagine you watch this thing playing in these smaller arenas everywhere in America, and then you watch them do 30,000 people in Canada. And you're watching this entire country lose its mind for one of their own. And I was like, I want to go there. I was like, that's something I want to do, So it's cool.
I'm glad it all worked out. Even before that, I read a story about you. I've been really enjoying reading more about you and learning more about you in the past couple of weeks, getting ready for this chat. I heard this, and you tell me whether this is true or not, that when you were a kid, there's a piece of paper you wrote down somewhere that said, like, I want to be a rapper. I want to do this thing. Is that true?
That's true.
What did it say? Why did you write that?
It was true. I was a kid, and you know how you go to school and they would ask you what you wanted to be when you grew up, and they'd give you like a list of 3 options. And I do now remember, every other kid wrote like firefighter,
astronaut.
From the era I grew up in, astronaut. These were like the 3 or 4 things everybody wanted to be. And I wrote one thing from kindergarten to 5th grade. It was always rapper. But I spelled it with 1 P the first couple years, so I never showed it because it just didn't look right. You know what I mean? But it's like I knew what my thought was. You know, I wanted to be a rapper.
And was there hip hop? Was there rap when you growing up around you? Were there people rapping around you?
Oh man, hip hop was probably the language of the neighborhood and the community in the '90s. Of course, we remember how hip hop exploded in the '90s, all through, especially where I was at. And I've been cool to learn how much hip hop's been impressed the same way up here.
Massive here and massive. I mean, big. Not just Drake now and everything like that, but like late '80s, early '90s, Cardinal, Official, Maestro, like massive Canadian. I don't know that much about where you're from. I know, like I've been to Nashville a bunch of times, but I don't think I've ever been to Antioch. I've never.
It's crazy. Yeah, Antioch's not much to go to, but you didn't miss anything. Right. Don't go. How about that? Don't go. Don't go. Just go.
What was it? Talk me through it. What's it like there? What was it like there growing up?
For me, it was really, really diverse. It kind of reminds me of Toronto, as I've kind of just spent a couple days here now, and it's been like, it feels homely here as far as like it's very diverse.
Yeah.
So I grew up influenced by a lot of things, but hip hop came through the '90s like a wildfire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just couldn't avoid it everywhere you went, and I was no exception to that rule. I just fell in love with it. I just understood it. I didn't think I could sing. I had a family full of bad singers. I'm the youngest of 4.
Yeah.
So when you got 4 older siblings, a mom and a dad, and they all sound like shit when they sing.
Yeah.
You just assume you're part of that crew, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I knew I could understand the rhythm and the pocket of hip hop and how to tell the story. And it also was even, for me as a young songwriter, was easier because you have a lot more landing strip to get a point across in hip hop.
Yeah.
Meaning like a hip hop song is 200 to 400 words sometimes, and an average country song's 48.
Yeah.
So
you get a little bit more room to tell the story.
Got a lot more room to tell a story, so I really just fell in love with the storytelling of hip hop.
What was I mean, as much as you want to tell me, what was life like growing up then in Antioch as a kid? What was your day like?
We were like middle, lower class people.
Yeah.
I also grew up in the '90s to age myself here, so we actually had to be where we were back then. You know what I mean? It was kind of a part of it. We were streetlight kids.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard that term, but you came home when the streetlights came on.
Yeah, I know that I know that very well.
Yeah.
Of course.
So we were streetlight kids, and we were just like every other, middle, lower class family. We were just trying to figure it out. My father was had a blue collar job at Book Bets on the side. Heavy drinker. Mm-hmm. Mother dabbled with drugs, dealt with a lot of mental health stuff. The whole family, I think 3 of the 4 of us ended up with a criminal record in the family as far as the siblings. So I mean, it was on par for what was happening in our community.
It was no different than what was going on.
We wasn't the Clampetts in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? People realized we were mirroring what was happening in the neighborhood.
Here's my question, and you've been really generous and open and honest about your experience with incarceration. I have sort of only one real question about it, if you're down for it.
Of course.
And it has to do with like when you get called something. What does that do to what's available to you? Here's what I mean. Like when you get called a criminal, or like when you get called a felon, like when a felony gets brought up and you get called like a felon, what does that do to what you are able to dream for yourself? Do you know what I mean? Like what does having that put on you by somebody else do to your ability to dream?
Oh, it's a dream killer. Yeah, it's the automatic dream killer. And you don't fully get it because my felony happened to me when I was 16, which is 2 years before you're an adult. And they charged me as an adult in that moment. So even then, I wish I would have really had the brain width to understand what my lawyer was trying to explain to me when he was saying, hey, man, in the state of Tennessee, when you get one of these, you can never get it off your record. You can never get it expunged. It's on your record forever.
Yeah.
And I never would have, and even then, you're just so like, but if I sign this, I get to go home finally. You know what I'm saying? Is kind of where you're at. They're like, in 3 years, you're like better than doing 50, which was the first offer.
Yeah.
So you're kind of cornered to take anything. And I mean, dude, you're talking about my felonies affect, and I didn't realize how far this would spread, but everything from international travel to home insurance.
Oh, yeah.
I've had home insurance companies triple and quadruple my quotes based on my criminal record.
Even now.
Literally, life insurance charges more based on my criminal record. general health insurance in America costs me more because of my criminal record. These are all things that I just immediately am upcharged on because of my criminal record. These are little things. You don't think about that when you're 16.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't think about that I could never get a real job. I could never be a firefighter. I could never be a nurse. I could never be a doctor. I could never be there's a couple more fields I looked into that just will never accept you at all. Just impossible.
What does that do to you? I mean, by the way, we can move on from this whenever you want, but like, what does that do for you to find that out?
It hurts because you realize how limited and restricted you are. You know, like if I wouldn't have been a dreamer, I literally am the epitome sitting here talking to you, Tom, as a man that would have died or been in prison for life had the dream not worked. I felt completely optionless.
But even if the dream hadn't worked, how do you keep the dream up? Do you know what I mean?
I'm afraid if the dream wouldn't have worked, I'd have got caught in the crossfire of the other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't have balanced it.
Yeah.
Because what I couldn't accept was going back to that neighborhood. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I was like, if I have to go back here, I'd rather just go to prison or die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's how I felt about where I'm from, respectfully.
But if it's the dream killer, how did I
dream through it?
Yeah, how did your dream not die?
Optionless. Dude, old school optionless.
Tell me what does that mean?
Yeah, when you just don't, I didn't think I had nothing else was going to work for me, man. I mean it when I tell you that I had accepted the fate of either the dream was going to happen for me, or I was going to accept my fate the other way. You know what I mean?
And the dream was, I want to be a musician.
I want to be a musician, man. Mm-hmm. And then the more I started to write songs, it was really, I was kind of writing to express what was hurting me, but I realized it was speaking for so many hurt people. You know, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know what happens to me for the first time in my life, Tom? Mm-hmm. I find purpose.
Yeah.
I had lived a purposeless life at that point.
Hold on, explain that to me. Explain I find purpose. And
so like I'm just writing, and for me, this is just a me thing.
Getting out stuff.
Right, I need to get this shit out of me, and maybe it'll strike a fire and I can make a living off of it, but it's better out of me than in me no matter what.
Gotcha.
And then you realize that telling your story is so many other people's story that they connect to it. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, I'm a voice for people. Like, and I realized this on a really small scale, like in my neighborhood, like how much Antioch loved me. Like my first concert was at a little bar in Antioch. You know what I mean? Like I'm still from the era before the internet. So you had to pop in your city. You had to be famous in your city to grow the music regionally.
And then they had to support you, and they had to get behind you and tell their friends about you.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
It was old school. So I just came into that space of figuring that out and knowing that, oh, now I'm a voice for this neighborhood. And then that voice became the voice of millions of people now. You know what I mean? So now, and then you find purpose. And I'd never thought I had any real purpose.
When you got out, and I was reading about you selling mixtapes out of your car. Here's my question about that. I've always wanted to know: what's the trick to selling a mixtape to someone on the street?
It's just like any other sales tactic. Trick number one is I got to get you to possess it.
So hold on, I'm walking down the street.
I hand you the mixtape. That's the first thing I do. While I'm talking to you, I'm just like, hey, hold this right quick.
Okay, so I walk past you and you say, hold on.
Yeah, I go, hey, what's up? I don't know. I make a conversation. I'm just talking.
Well, plaid shirt.
My language.
I'm
talking crap. I'm talking shit, right? I'm just like, yo, what's up? This is like my kind of guy. He's hip. Yeah. He's got a graphic tee and a flannel. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this dude's hip.
He probably eats craft singles. He's one of my guys.
He's ate a craft single before. I'm like, yo, stop. What's up, man? How are you? The first thing I would do is hand you the mixtape.
So then I hold on to the mixtape.
Yeah, because right now possession is 9/10 of the law, right? At this moment, because you've now got to convince me to take it back instead of giving me money.
Right.
That's really what I've done.
I got to get you to
get... Stalemate immediately. You know what I'm saying?
I'm already down. Am I right? All right, okay. So then I got it. I'm like, no, man, I'm good. You're like...
And I'm like, hold on, just hear me out. And then I give you my sales pitch. And at worst case scenario, I just plumb guilt you into giving me $5. You know what I'm saying? And people, I've learned, are so smart, they would assess it very quickly. What was happening to just be like, yeah, here's $5. Like, just whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Were you hoping they would listen to your music? Were you hoping they would hear
that was
it?
the biggest goal for sure. Because I've learned now is that I know some people that did the CD hustle and they treated it like real salesmen-y. and never cared about the music. They just cared about how many CDs they could sell. So their metric of making it was, I sold a bunch of CDs. It's like, yeah, you sell 1,000 CDs a day and make really good money, but nobody actually listens to it.
Yeah.
People would just rather give you $5 than have to entertain you for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like I was still hoping. So I'm still sales pitching them after they bought them. Like, yo, put it in, man. Listen. Or if I caught you in a car, like if we're at a Gatlinburg, Tennessee, has this thing they used to have called Rod Run, where all these cool fly muscle cars would come up and down the Gatlinburg Strip.
Yeah.
And what we do is catch them at lights and hand it to them. Be like, put it in and listen to the first song. If it sucks, you can have it.
Right. And if you like it, give me the.
If you like it, give me $5 or give me a donation.
So,
you know what I mean?
So what would they do?
They'd put it in, right? Because they'd gamble on me. I was, you could see it in my eyes that I was desperate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they would entertain it, and I felt like I'd almost win them over all the time. And the music was extremely mediocre back then, obviously, right? Because I was still learning that part of the craft too.
This was still hip hop? This was still rap?
Oh yeah, this was still hip. Thankfully, I've never had to try to go sell one of my country music albums to somebody in person.
Who was the first person to tell you that you... Hold on. Do you know anyone who still has one of those mixtapes?
I tell you what, though, I'm still that guy that will meet people, and if they don't know who I am and we just chat and we end up getting cool, before I leave, I'll be like, hey, man, I hate to be this guy, but I don't suck. I'm worth checking out.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. I do that in the Uber.
I'm still, like, humble enough to be like, I'm still just nervous enough to be like, would you look at my picture?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still a kid that shows up with his picture, like, if you want to look at my picture?
Who's the first person to tell you that you could sing, given that you came from a family of bad singers that you just told me?
So I heard it a lot, but I didn't believe it.
Who you heard
Just like,
you were a good singer?
but not like you were a good singer, but it's like, yo, you should sing more. Like people like my DJ Highlight when I first started DJing would always be like, because we would imagine we're going from hip hop show to hip hop show. We're living in a van for 10 years, right, together. And between hip hop show and hip hop show, I'm singing Waylon Jennings in the car at the top of my lungs. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's all I'll listen to. In the car.
What was your Waylon song you sang?
Oh God, I got 30 of them. But looking for trouble and I found the sun right down a barrel of a long man gun. Ain't living long like this. That was one of them, of course. Let's go to Lukenbach, Texas with Waylon and Willie and the boys.
How great is that line? The successful life we're living's got us feuding like the Hatfields and McCoys. Oh. Get out of here. Really incredible.
They were so good. And you know what I love about that record? Me and my friends back home talk about this a lot. I want to start doing this in music again. I want to bring this back. Willie Nelson just randomly comes in and sings the last chorus. He's not listed as a feature on any album anywhere.
But he's mentioned in the song.
He's mentioned in the song. And I guess Waylon was just played it for him and was like, you know what, why don't you? I could just imagine a couple of just go in there and sing it. Willie being stoned, like, yeah, why not? And he never cleared it as a feature, never put it as feature.
It's not on his label didn't clear it? His name's not on the album?
No, it was just some old school, like if you listened all the way through, you just randomly got a cool Willie Nelson feature, you know.
I love Luke. I love his version of they're giving me the please stop moving on from Waylon Jennings. I love his version of I ain't never been to Spain. It's on Ladies Love Outlaws, but I've been to Oklahoma. It's like an old Three Dog Night song. Great song. Hold on. So you were listening to Waylon Jennings in the car and old country music and stuff like that, singing along, and finally you're like, okay, maybe I'll try singing.
Yep. No, I went to a bar and did karaoke, and I sung Bob Seger, Old Time Rock and Roll.
Just take those old records off the shelf.
Oh, dude, it's the best. And some scumbag of a human production guy was like, and it's the only cool thing he's probably ever done in his whole life besides rob people, goes, you should sing, man. He's like, you should do that on your music more.
Someone said that to you?
Yeah. And I was like, maybe I'll try something. And every album from then, I already kind of did the melodies on my songs, like more hip-hop style, though. So, like, I wake up every day, I hit my knees and breathe. It was more swag than it was singing.
Yeah.
So then I was like, man, I'm just going to try to belt. And I just started kind of slowly building. And every album I would drop after that, I was like, I'm going to put one song on here where I'm just singing. And then for like 3 albums straight, that was the only song that was popular. And I was like, maybe I'm a better singer than I am a rapper. Yeah. And it took me 20 years to figure that out.
Was it a when you grow up in a country music town, but in hip hop, when it's time, when you say like, okay, I'm going to be in country music right now, is there any part of you that's resistant to it? Like, oh, I don't want to be in country music. I don't.
No, I always wanted to be in country music, man. The joke I tell is that from Antioch to Music Row was 30 minutes, but it took me almost 40 years to get there. You know what I'm saying? It was a move, dude. It was a scoot. No, I just didn't think I had the ability. Even if you listen to the subject matter of my early hip hop stuff, I was singing country songs. I was just rapping them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My top line has always been very, very, very down the middle country storytelling.
But I feel like country music changed too in a good way that let you in.
Yes, country music has been, man, country music giving me a place to call home finally. Because I was just homeless, right? Making music is the way I look at it. No genre would define me. I was too rock for hip hop. I was too hip hop for country. I was too country for rock. Everywhere I went, it was the Spider-Man meme. Everybody's pointing at each other, right? You know what I'm saying? Nobody actually took a claim.
Yeah.
And when country music embraced me, and this is totally account of a record label called Stony Creek, Jonathan Loba, 100% him and Adrian Michaels were like, no, you're country. You know, I was like, God, you think they'll accept me? He's like, they're not going to accept you. They're going to love you.
Audiences, you mean, or the industry?
Well, the thing was, and this is what I was saying, I knew the audience would love me because they were in front of my stage every night. Every night I was performing to a bunch of dudes in flannels and denims and Carhartt. You know what I mean? Like I knew what these people, they were just like me. They were, you know, predominantly lower class white Americans. So I was like, I knew I was speaking to the core of a certain audience. You know what I mean? I was like, I knew this is who I am. You know what I mean? I grew up in a kind of neighborhood where somebody would get shot once a week, but you could also go catch a crawdad at the creek. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's just where I grew up at. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And the same people who were in the front row of your shows were also listening to maybe not, you know, WSM or something like that. They also loved old country music.
For sure. They loved Waylon Jennings and they loved Tupac.
Yeah.
You know?
So it wasn't the audience you were worried about. It was so when you said I don't know if they'll accept me, who did you mean?
Like the actual genre itself, like the corporate side of it. Yeah. Right? Like how radio would feel. When I went to radio, I was one of the first artists that ever went to country radio with a nickname.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Like a real nickname, not like a half my name with another middle name, or
not like
some
a
variation
Cowboy
of my
Troy
name.
where it's still Troy.
Yeah, no variation of my name in it at all. Right?
Man, that's really interesting.
Crazy.
So even then, you're pushing the.
Even I'm the first one I'm going. Just think about for the first time somebody on. You know how crazy that was for somebody to take a chance on me in country radio. How much I owe them for that to be like. All right, listeners, we're finna play this new song by Jelly Roll called Son of a Sinner. You know what I mean? Like there had to be a moment where some old white lady was in her car going, did they just say they're fixing to play a Jelly Roll on this car radio right now? Like that's absurd. And then this sweet lady has to then Google me and see nothing but face tattoos and a career of like sing rap stuff.
Yeah.
Like they were risking so much taking that chance on me. You know what I mean? And I knew that. So I was like, man, I just wanted to prove to him my commitment. And now you could never get me away from country music.
No, I mean, you kind of are. You kind of are modern country music to a lot. You are country music to a lot of people right now.
God is good, man.
Can we listen to one of the songs?
All of this drinking and smoking is hopeless, but feel like it's all that I need. Something inside of me's broken. I hold on to anything that sets me free. I'm a lost cause. Baby, don't waste your time on me. I'm so damaged beyond repair. Life is shattered, my hopes and my...
Like, I know that you got to sing that every night. How do you feel when you hear that? I don't know how often you get a chance to actually hear that recording.
You know, it's crazy. Just hearing the recording was like, man, you're right. I don't hear the recording very often at all. Well, first thing I hear criticizing the recording is how much my voice has grown.
I was going to say your voice has changed. I wasn't going to say grown, but you sound different.
Yeah. No, it sounds so much. Even then, when I hear that song, I had to relearn how to sing this song. And because as my register grew, and as I started to open up and see what I could do with my voice, in my mind, this was the highest I could sing and would ever be able to sing. Because when I hit this note the first time in the studio, for me, it was like, I've achieved. Because the same note that I'm a lost cause, it's also the same note. This is how much I didn't know about music when I wrote this song, by the way. is that it's the same note at the first of the song too. Somebody save me, somebody lost cause.
So you're not building to a big note.
I don't build to the big note. I give you the big note right then. I blow everything I have as soon as the song starts. I gave you every trick I had vocally right then.
No, but also you got to sing the big note right off the bat.
For sure. Yeah, it's hard to sing first song.
Man, that was a big song.
Big man, it was life changing.
Yeah,
thousands of messages a month of people telling me how this song has helped them. Thousands. I mean, played at funerals, one of the most played songs in recovery centers in America. It's unreal.
I got buddies in Nashville who were telling me about you. They're in like they're songwriters down there, and they were telling me about you and going on about you. And I had been listening to you a little bit on the radio and stuff like that, but I wasn't that familiar with you. And then I happened to be watching the Country Music Awards. I happened to just have it on in the nighttime that night. I think there was something else, and I just said, I'm gonna watch CMAs. It'll be fun. I think they did the Joe Diffie tribute that night.
With Post.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, they did John Deere Green, which was one of my favorite songs.
Oh.
Just one of the greatest songs of all time. And then they did Best New Artist, and I was like, I think you were the only nominee I hadn't talked to. And I was like, well, geez, this is nice. I know a couple of these folks. I met them anyway.
Right.
Let's see what's going to happen. And then you won. And it was amazing, and it was incredible. But and I know you probably heard this before, but I still remember hearing that speech you gave and being like, this guy's really special. Can we play a little bit of it?
There is something poetic about a 39-year-old man winning New Artist of the Year. I don't know where you're at in your life or what you're going through, but I want to tell you to keep going, baby. I want to tell you success is on the other side of it. I want to tell you it's going to be okay, because what's in front of you is so much more important than what's behind you. Let's party, Nashville!
I mean, what I heard there was like, at the first I was like, was he a Southern preacher or something?
Grew up in a Southern church.
You know what I mean? Like, I thought I heard a little bit of that. And then I heard like, is there a professional wrestler, like, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and in there? And then it went like, no, this guy is being honest with me right now. Yeah. This guy's is dealing with some emotions right now that I don't think he can believe that he's there.
Yeah.
And he wants to let some people know that that he didn't think he was going to be here, and you can do it. Tell me what you remember about that speech.
That's exactly what I remember. I remember walking up there and thinking, fuck, I didn't think I was going to win this.
Oh, really?
I remember that. I thought for sure Zach Brown was going to win it. I thought he deserved it to some degree. I mean, dude, he's just he's such a big artist. It's hard to overlook. You know what I mean? Anytime you're in a category with him, you're looking like that dude sells out stadiums 3 nights in a row. Like,
yeah.
And I love him as a human. So if you watch back to the clip right before I walk, we're touching each other's shoulder because I love him to death, and I'm just and I touch his shoulder and I go, shout me out up there, okay? It's the last thing I say before they call my name. That's how convinced I was. You know what I'm saying?
You were telling the guy you thought was going to win.
Yeah, I was like, yo, throw me some love. We're friends. You know what I'm saying? And I was joking with him, but serious. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, throw me a shout out. And when I hugged him, I said, get ready. I'm finna shower you with love. That's what I said when I hugged him on the way up there. And that's the first thing I said. I got a lot of people I want to thank, but first of all, Zach Brown, I want you to know you deserve to be here more than anybody up here. But it was really crazy, man. And that speech was it's still the most viral thing of my career.
It was so viral. People who didn't know anything about country music, people who didn't know anything about you, they must have found out about you through that speech.
Yeah, it was cool, man. It's you're just so emotionally overwhelmed. You're on national TV. You're at the country music. So this is the biggest night in country music for us. I mean, this is it. This is our Grammy. This is our Oscar night. And it's just what a life-changing night. Went out and partied with Lainey Wilson that night. I mean, that night just kept getting better and better and better. You know what I mean?
But I love that you're not afraid to let the emotions out. I don't have to tell you the country music doesn't always have a big, strong tradition of that. I feel like all the CMAs I've ever watched have been fellas, no disrespect to him at all. And in fact, love to him because they changed my life. But, fellas walking up there and going, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate this. I want to thank my producer. Thank you very much. And okay, have a good night. It was just nice to see you show some stuff.
No, for sure. It was just very, I struggle with that in general. I talk about this all the time. I couldn't imagine, I'm not dissing these guys neither, but how are you, I'm sitting in, this is unreal. Like I'm being celebrated by my peers on national television in front of the entire world. And these dudes are just like, I just want to say thank you to my mama. Do you know what I'm saying? And they walk off and you're like, do you have any emotion? But I can also say this, and I don't mean this to be mean. a lot of artists, not in country music, but in just every genre, are not connected with their music or fans the way I am, respectfully. And I don't mean that to diss nobody. I'm just telling you the difference in what I know. You know what I mean?
You know them.
I write these songs. Mm-hmm. I pour my soul and story into these songs.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I pick these songs based on how much they mean to me and my family and what I know they've done or could do for me and my family. You know what I mean? It's like I live and die by every word I write. And I just feel different. So I'm standing there in the moment. Like when Save Me wins for Song of the Year, I'm so emotional up there because I'm like, man, this song changed my life. This is the one I hit upload on YouTube that did 1 million views in a day. It was the first time I was like, oh, my life's fixing to change. It's at 240 million views or something now. It was the song that did it all for me, So it's just, I'm so connected to this and these people. And I don't mean like it's the reason when we play the Ottawa Blues Fest that we sing Swing by the Royal and go talk to people and spread love and send a little encouragement. You know what I mean? It's the reason because that's how connected I am to what this music does.
Something that comes up a lot in your songs is this sort of the idea that there's a duality in people, the idea that people can be a couple of things. You can be a saint, like in hungover in a church pew. You can be drinking and partying on Saturday and you're going to repent the next day. In Halfway to Hell, you can be a saint and a sinner. In that song, I'm not okay. You can be not okay, and you can be okay. This comes up a lot in your music. In God, I Need a Favor. I only talk to God when I need a favor. I'm without God, and then sometimes I need Him, and I'm with Him. Am I on to something that you find yourself drawn to songs with like that?
Yeah, you're on to something so much. I hope you clip this and send this to me because what you just said is something I try to explain to people, and I couldn't explain it as well as you did, is that it's okay to be a couple of things. Like, that's all right. I think we've got lost in the world of thinking that. We've gotten stuck in this, we used to kind of be in bigger, looser boxes, and we've tried to become so particular with our boxes now that we've now boxed ourselves into our own little individual boxes, you know? And it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, I am the guy that'll still tear the town up every now and then on a Saturday, but I'll show up Sunday to my Uncle Buford's house. You know what I mean? I'll show up to church Sunday. It's like I think it's okay to be not okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay to know that you're going to be all right. I'm not okay right now, but I'm going to be all right. You know what I mean? I think it's just, it's okay. You can be more than one thing. It's okay to have two feelings at once. People don't understand that neither. You know what I mean? It's like, it's okay to be sad and angry. It's okay to be sad, but a little understanding. You know what I mean? It's all right.
I'm so glad you said it because I was listening to your music a lot over the past little while, and that's what I heard. That, hey, I'm a sinner. Hey, I'm not just. I think that's why I was asking you the question about like when you get called something at an early age, and you said that like, oh, it's a dream killer to be called a felon. It's a dream killer because all you are is one thing. But if your boxes are big,
right,
then there's duality. There's multitudes. There's where you can be both having fun on a Saturday night, and you can be, and in the other hand, you can hold loving God, or you can loving your family, or loving whatever God means to you.
Exactly.
And those two things can be held in the same body.
It's okay, man. I think that's the duality of life. That's the duality of man. Like we should embrace it more. I know how confused I am. Mm-hmm. I've felt 5 different ways today. I've been mad, I've been sad, I've been excited, and I've been nervous. Mm-hmm. I've only been awake for 4 hours. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? It's just...
While you've been in Canada, you raised money for Indigenous youth at your show in St. Catharines.
Yes.
You did a pop-up show at the Royal Ottawa Mental Health Centre. Talk to me a little bit about why that stuff's important to you.
Well, I've been blessed to be called a global ambassador for music, and I took that as a serious thing coming over here initially. Was, if you gave me the chance to come and America wants me to be an ambassador too, I was excited, Yeah. But it's what we do anyways, man. It's just who we are, Tom. I'm glad that we were able to come over here for the first time of what I pray to be many, and that we were able to show people who we are just the way we are everywhere else. And it's important, man, that I remember there were so many messages that I wish I could have heard or needed to hear, but I couldn't hear them because of where I was. So now I'm in an opportunity that I can bring that message to people.
You would, when you were incarcerated, or when you were young, or whatever, it would have meant a lot to have someone come by and.
Absolutely, and let me give you a fun story just about yesterday alone.
Okay,
we landed in Ottawa, and first of all, I got some poutine for the first time.
Pretty good.
It was really good.
Did it have curds or shredded curds?
Oh, curds, dude.
That's incredible.
Yes, dude. Bacon. It was so good.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But I went and got some poutine. But we went to the Royal and spoke and sung some songs, and then we went and hung out in every unit afterwards and really got to connect with people and spend some time. And emotional moment for me is I got to walk into the detox unit, and I got to talk to 2 young women and a young man that were there for their first day. It's the roughest day. I mean, that's it. You're thinking so many thoughts. And just to be blessed, and I don't know how they felt about me being there, but I know I left feeling blessed. That I got to be a part of that for a minute, you know?
On their first day.
First day, the worst day. Then I go to my show, and the guy in the front row is holding a sign that says, "Today I celebrate 584 days sober."
No way.
You see me tearing up.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, think about this. These kids in here don't even know it. But maybe I could have been the reason that they end up with 584.
Yeah.
Or just a part. Thank you, Tom.
I got you, man.
You're such a gentleman.
I got you.
Thank you.
It's the craft single solidarity
thank you,
here.
thank
Don't you
you,
worry
thank you.
about it, man. I got you.
It's our brohood. It's our bromance. But it's like, even in that moment, you look like, man, if I'm just a small part of that, if I'm just the soundtrack to that change, man, that was the coolest thing ever yesterday. You know what I mean? Just, if I would have only performed for those 4 people yesterday, what a great day that would have been. If I'd had an audience of 4, and that was the 4, the 3 on their first day, and that dude just cheesing. He looked like the Cheshire Cat or whatever you call him. Just ear to ear, just the whole show. Just so great, just so proud. Made him a sign. Big old boy, too, my size. Tattoos, big old gangster-looking guy, you know? Just, you could just see the pride in his face, you know, for collecting that much time, you know? So that's why it's important to go do that.
What do you hope's coming for you? What do you hope a year from now is like?
I hope 1 year from now, I'm down another 100 pounds and I'm back up here eating poutine and doing like a 15 arena tour through Canada, launching straight to the UK and then going to Germany and working my way around the world. That's where I hope I'm at in a year, Tom, baby. I hope we're talking about it right now. And you're like, you lost the weight, eh?
We're eating poutine together, you know what I mean?
Or I show up 100 pounds heavier and I got some explaining to do. You know what I'm saying?
It was the poutine.
Yeah, damn poutine, dude. I took it home.
Man, I can't begin to tell you how nice it was to talk to you.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that we got to really do the long form thing, man. I think this is how people really get to know artists.
Yeah, you know, we've been doing more of it for a few years now, and I can't think of another way to do it.
Big difference, man. I mean, you can fake it for a 6-minute soundbite.
Yeah.
You can't fake it when you got to sit down and really pull the sleeves up for 30, 45 minutes at a time. You know,
you really got to do it, man. And I'm a big fan of the music, and it's nice to get a chance to talk to you.
Cheers, brother. Thank you, Tom.